Hello, what's up? Happy Tuesday, or whatever day it is you're listening to this. Welcome back to another episode of the Flow with the Grow podcast. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. My name is Sophia, or Sophie, or Soph, whatever you want to call me. And today I have a solo episode for you. I'm going to be going along the lines of, or staying with the theme of mental health because it is May and it is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I've been wanting to share this part, the story, explain a little bit more about this, but I just haven't recorded it or had the chance to yet or whatever, and it was perfect timing. So here we are. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about ART. It's a form of therapy, as well as EMDR. I have not done EMDR, but I did do ART. I'm going to share my story with that, my experience, what it is, differences between ART and EMDR through a little bit of Google searching here that I've done. And I'm also going to link some resources in the show notes if you want to check more out as far as the research goes and just learning more about each of these to see if it's something that is for you or something that you can do to help with whatever it is you're going through, or maybe past trauma, things like that. But first, I have some freaking exciting news. If you've been on my side of the internet, this podcast, social media for a while, you know that I love my sweets and I love finding healthier versions. Not that we have to find healthier versions, but personally, I've always just loved trying and exploring and experimenting with different products and companies and things when it comes to, quote, healthier versions. Now, again, I want to reiterate, you don't have to have the, quote, healthier version. If you want a brownie, have a freaking brownie. If you want a cookie, if you want that ice cream, go for it. But I do that. But I also love, like I said, finding and trying different companies and things. And this one is a cookie dough company that I actually first shared about at least 3 years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago was when I found this company. And ever since I have loved them, and it has been the best cookie dough that, like a healthier version that I have ever found. You can also find them on Shark Tank. They were on Shark Tank once, which is pretty cool. But the company is called Deux, Deux. Now they don't only have cookie dough. They actually have come out with different dessert spreads, kind of one that's like a Nutella. So they have like hazelnut spread. And then they just came out with some donuts, which I'm excited to get and try. I've only personally tried the cookie doughs and they are amazing. You can eat them raw or you can bake them in the oven as well. And I think it's cool because they're not only vegan and gluten-free and have cleaner ingredients, but they also enhance them with different blends or like vitamins and minerals and things. They have a mood blend, a collagen blend, an energy and focus blend. They incorporate reishi, vitamin B12, like just different things that they incorporate into these. And so I think that's pretty cool. My favorite one right now is the cookies and cream. It is so freaking good. I have tried the brownie, the chocolate chip, the peanut butter chocolate chip. They made an oopsie one because I guess they accidentally messed it up and they turned it into an oatmeal chocolate chip one. I have tried the birthday cake, the s'mores, the brownie batter, and I have yet to try. I ordered these in. I have the cinnamon roll. I have the limited edition salted peanut butter cup. And then there's also a limited matcha one. So I haven't tried those yet, but I'm really excited to try. Anyways, I would highly recommend that you check them out. At least go to the website, browse around, especially if you're like me and you love trying healthier versions of things. You love cookie dough, you love cookies. Maybe you are trying to clean up the ingredients in your diet. This is a great way to do that. And the exciting news is that I have a discount code for you. You can save 10% by using the code SOPHIA10 at checkout. So it's SOPHIA10 for 10% off your entire order. All right, that's all I'll say about that right now. If you try it, let me know how you like it. If you have questions, please reach out to me. Again, I will link that code or that website in the show notes so that you can go and get yourself some with a discount. All right, let's chat therapy. Little backstory. I decided to go to therapy. Let's see, it was probably 2021, 2022 time. I want to say, I don't know the exact date, but I had for a long time been wanting to try therapy just because I knew the benefits. I just was kind of getting more and more into mental health and the importance of it and whatnot. And I decided that I wanted to give it a try. I was living in Brookings, South Dakota at the time, and I looked up one in Sioux Falls, and don't know why I was wanting Sioux Falls and not Brookings. Like, I don't know. I browsed around and I chose one therapist who I went to for, a few solid months. It was a few solid months, but I remember the first time I went in, it just wasn't the vibe. We just didn't click. I don't know. Just the energy, the room, I don't know. It's kind of like when you know for your person. Well, same thing is true with your therapist. When you know that's the right therapist, you connect, you just know. And this wasn't it. However, I will say that the things that we talked about, the things that she gave me to do, like outside of our sessions, 100% helped and did do me some good. And actually, there's a couple things that I did that I even bring with me now for whenever I need to access those tools. But like I said, it wasn't working. And I just decided, you know what, I had this feeling, this gut feeling that there was someone in Brookings that I needed to go to, and that my therapist that I was going to connect with was there. And so I did some searching in Brookings, and I got connected to a few people. Some people I left a voicemail, they didn't get back to me. There was one person who she did get back to me right away. And I ended up going to her, talking to her. And like, basically when I walked in, I was like, yes, this is it. This is her. This is my therapist. Like, we connected, we vibed. The energy was there. So I started going to her. Now, day one, the first day that we went, she had asked me why I was there, what I was hoping to get out of it. And I explained to her that I was wanting to get help with my relationship with food, and with, like, I just felt like I was out of control with food, and just the relationship that I have with my body. And that I personally knew a time when I think it all started, like a specific situation where I think this stemmed from. And then there was a bunch of other situations that kind of made it not worse, but like kind of grew that issue that I had, or the struggles that I would deal with for years after that, which was back in high school. I also had said that I have just been wanting to try therapy, see what it's all about, just try and see how it can help my life in general. And then also we talked a lot about work life and trying to have a balance with that, and like always feeling the need to work, but like feeling guilty at times if I wasn't working. So we did talk about that, but I also feel like I need to go back to therapy to more so focus on that, because the focus wasn't specifically there. And then I ended up moving away to Sioux Falls, stopped going to therapy. But initially what I was trying to go for, like through the emotional eating and around food and things like that, we made progress. We made some progress. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. She had said, now, we can do traditional therapy. We can do traditional talk therapy where we talk about things. I give you things and exercises to do outside of therapy, and then we talk about it again, or we can get shit done. That's what she said to me. And I was like, ooh, tell me more. Like, I want to get shit done. Tell me more. And she explained to me ART. And I had never heard of this before, but this stands for Accelerated Resolution Therapy. It is recognized as an evidence-based treatment for psychological trauma and depression. And so far, studies indicate that clients will feel relief from their symptoms within 1 to 5 sessions. Basically, the therapist guides the client to replace negative images in the mind with positive ones. So I wasn't necessarily, like, it wasn't about changing the past. It was more so about replacing those negative images, those negative times, with positive ones, with ones that I, like, how I would have wanted to handle it, and how I'd want to feel afterwards, and just kind of painting a different picture over what actually happened. She had told me that this was something that was kind of just becoming more known in the therapy world, and it was first used for PTSD with those who had PTSD in like from the military or the army. Like, it was first used for that, and then whoever they is, quickly realized that it could be used for so many other things as well. This is from the acceleratedresolutiontherapy.com website, and it says, with these therapies combined with ART's eye movements and other ART enhancements, many health problems other than post-traumatic stress can also be resolved quickly. Among the things ART can deal with are OCD, eating disorders, generalized anxiety, and generalized depressive disorders. ART can deal with traumas often associated with dyslexia, but also go beyond that to improve reading. So here are some other issues that can be effectively treated by ART. Anxiety, depression, phobias, panic attacks, OCD, post-traumatic stress, addictions, substance abuse, performance anxiety, family issues, victimization/poor self-image, victimization/sexual abuse, relationship issues, infidelity, codependency, grief, job-related stress, pain management, memory enhancement, and dyslexia anxiety. This uses eye movements. So when I was in my session, which I'm going to go through here in a second later on, but when she was doing her hand movements, like if you can imagine, hand is up, going side to side with it, my eyes would follow her hand. So these eye movements are calming and therapeutic, and this is the part that is evidence-based, and it has been shown that they produce theta waves in the brain. Theta waves have been connected to creativity, intuition, daydreaming. These brain waves are often present during meditative states. One of the special aspects of ART is that when clients replace their negative images with positive ones, they don't need to talk to the therapist about any details of the trauma. This is because ART is procedural. Though creative, and the client is really in control of the process, while the ART therapist is a helpful guide. This makes the therapy easier on the client and easier on the therapist. Although some traumatic experiences such as rape, combat, or loss of a loved one can be very painful to visualize, early in the ART session, the client has already rapidly moved beyond the place where they're stuck in these past experiences and is making positive changes of their choice. ART sessions are calming for the client and very often joyful, especially at the end for both the client and the therapist. Now, before we started, she did warn me and tell me that when I'm going back to the first experience, that's where we started, was my first situation where I think that my eating disorders, disordered eating, relationship with food, all of that, where it stemmed from. She told me that I will likely experience those feelings that I felt, the negative feelings, the feelings that I don't want to feel. Those will come back up as I am visualizing that time when we were doing our sessions. She warned me that. And I remember after each session feeling honestly exhausted. It was exhausting. It was never super emotional for me. I think there were some times when it was, just because it was hard going back to those times and feeling that way. But also afterwards, I felt re-energized from our sessions. So in a nutshell here, ART uses visualization, eye movements, and re-scripting of negative images, and basically freeing those bad memories, those negative memories. And it also says here that specifically, it has been shown that whenever we recall an emotional memory, that memory becomes open to change. As a matter of fact, we're always making changes to emotional memories when we recall them. We just don't realize that that's what's happening. Now that we know that this happens, when it comes to traumatic memory, we can harness this opportunity to purposefully make the changes that will free us from the troubling images and sensations and the emotions that cause suffering. Add to this the power of eye movements. It has been known for some time that when clients, through tracking a therapist's hand or object, moves their eyes back and forth while engaging their thoughts in certain imaginative exercises, the ability to make favorable changes is enhanced and clients experience relaxation. While the reason eye movements are so powerfully helpful has not been uncovered, one theory posits that eye movements are thought to replicate the responses experienced during the rapid eye movement phase of sleep, aka REM sleep. They also explain in this website of keeping the knowledge and losing the pain. I love that because I still have the knowledge of every single situation, all of the bad memories, the negative emotions and feelings. I still have that knowledge, but I've lost the pain associated with those times. Now, just to give you an idea of what this was like with each session, I'm going to try to recall the process that we took every time I went in for an ART session. So in the beginning, like I said, I knew the time, the situation that I feel like it all started and stemmed from. So when she would first start, like she would do her hand movement and my eyes would follow. So I would do that eye movement with her hand. And I would first recall that initial time or that situation. And I would visualize that. I would visualize what happened, how I felt. She would then, and I didn't say anything to her. Like, this was all visualization, no talk. So then she would, I don't remember if she like asked me if I was ready to move on or whatever it was, but the next step was I would basically paint over it. And sometimes it was like a color I would paint over, or maybe it would be like flowers, or it was just something to kind of paint over that. And I would then visualize and come up with a more positive reaction or more positive image of how I would have wanted that situation to go. How I would have, like looking back, how do I wish I would have handled that in a way that didn't create so much pain for years to follow? Like what would I tell my younger self during that time? And so I visualized that, how it went, how I felt. And then I believe the next step was like solidifying that. So I would I don't know if it was paint or it was something else that I would do to visualize, like to solidify that. And then there might have been one other similar thing that I would do after that, but I can't remember exactly right now. And then after that, each time that I went in for a session, we would do this for the memory, like the strongest memory that I can think of, where I feel like that made a difference in the pain that I had, or where I think that it only enhanced my food restriction and binging, emotional eating, and negative relationship with food. So I would go through different scenarios where I think that would happen. And then after that, it was more about like having a checkup and like recognizing and seeing, like basically reassessing regularly for if things would come up, like the pain or the restricting and binging and negative relationship with food. Like we would just kind of reassess. And I can tell you that like every single time I went in for a session, it's almost like, not that I doubted the process and that it worked, but like I was skeptical. And I remember her in the beginning saying that it's one of those things where it's literally almost too good to be true, but it works. And it was also almost like every time I was trying to find ways to make myself believe that I wasn't getting better or that it wasn't working, but there was no denying it. Like it was working. I couldn't deny it. It was like I was trying to be a certain way in my mind and with food and with my body that I used to struggle with, but it just wasn't there. I just wasn't struggling with it. So it really was too good to be true. And that happens like every single time. I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. This is like, really? And then, yeah, no, it does. And it did. And I would say that this is like the number one game changer, the number one thing that helped me overcome my all or nothing mentality, my restrict binging, the relationship that I had with food and with myself and with my body. And I would say I did do work before that, like internally with my thoughts, and even during that and after that, like I put in a lot of internal work, but I feel like this was the one thing that like made the difference. And ART was actually made or created from EMDR. EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Both evidence-based, both effective treatments for post-traumatic stress disorder and other trauma-related symptoms. But ART is focusing primarily on replacing negative, disturbing images with positive ones, whereas EMDR aims to both desensitize client's distress, and reprocess traumatic events. They both use and utilize eye movements to reprocess traumatic images and emotions and body sensations. One thing that I want to point out that I just remembered, so this is going to kind of rewind the conversation a little bit, but one of the things that we also did in the ART session was she would ask me where I would feel the pain or where I'd feel the emotion, whether it was my head or my heart or my stomach or like my entire body or just asking where I felt it. And then we would do work specifically on that area as well. Like as I'm thinking about our sessions right now, just things are kind of coming up here and there, remembering more specifics. One of the differences between ART and EMDR. So ART, treatment is considered successful when a scene is reprocessed. With EMDR, treatment is considered successful when all target memories related to a theme are reprocessed, which includes images, cognitions, emotions, and body sensations. And then secondly, ART with images aims to change disturbing images to positive ones, like I mentioned before. EMDR with images aims to desensitize the client to the disturbing images rather than replacing them. So, current symptoms are able to resolve by reprocessing that traumatic event. Now, just a little bit on how do you know whether ART or EMDR is right for you? When deciding which may be a better fit for you, timing is one factor to consider because ART is shown to be an accelerated treatment with a shorter timeline, making that a good approach for time-limited situations, whereas EMDR takes longer to complete but can address multiple issues. Each ART session is a standalone treatment, so it could also be a good option for someone who is not able to attend sessions consistently or when there is a long period of time between sessions. Since EMDR is a complete treatment modality, it could be a better fit for someone with a more complex range of concerns or who is seeking a more long-term therapeutic approach. If one modality is not effective, it is always an option to try working with the other or with a different therapist or a clinician. Now, when finding a therapist, it is important to make sure that the therapist has been fully trained in EMDR and ART. I know that when I went to my therapist in Brookings, she was at the time like the only, maybe one of two people in the entire state of South Dakota who had gone through that training. There might be more now, which there probably would be, but just making sure that you find someone who has been trained in that and has some experience. So I think that because with ART, we really focused on emotions and images. So now it's like I subconsciously have resolved those things from my past, but also it's come into my present when different things come up, similar situations come up. The emotions are different, how I handle it is different, and is in a way that I visualized myself doing in the past. If you want to learn more about ART and EMDR, like I said in the show notes, I'm going to link some websites that you can check out, some different research and studies and things. And if you have additional questions about my experience, please feel free to reach out to me. And lastly, this is a reminder that mental health is health. Mental health is just as important, if not maybe more important in some cases, as your physical health. I hope this gives you a little more insight into something that you can do for your mental health. And it's something that you consider doing, especially if you feel that pull to seek out a therapist, to try it, and see how it can benefit you. All right, with that, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. I love you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, week, weekend. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Flow with the Grow. I'll see you next week for your daily dose of positivity and growth.